Hey everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here to talk to you about the beginning of March leading up to a powerful new moon that we have in the sign of Pisces. Before we get to it, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure that you hit the bell icon so that you are notified of all new uploads. Sign up for my newsletter, linked right below. I have a guided new moon meditation for you if you'd like to use it. It's linked right below in the comments. And I'm going to go through all 12 signs by which house they fall in for you for this new moon. So be sure to set your intentions. And don't forget, you can download your free birth chart again, linked below. And all of my links where you can find me are also linked below in the description box. You know the saying, March goes in like a lion and out like a lamb? Well, I'm actually going to reverse that, and I'm going to say that March is going to come in like a lamb and go out like a lion. And I don't even know that March is coming in like a lamb. But March is definitely a power month. It's much more dynamic than January and February have been. And I talk a lot about this in my January through April forecast, which I put out in January, and it's now actually half off, linked below, so you can always check that out. But what I say about the month of March is that it starts to get a little dicey. Let's not forget we've got eclipse season coming up, and things feel like they are very critical at the moment. There's lots of change at the forefront. There are a lot of endings, and then naturally with that comes new beginnings. Some of them feel very smooth, while others can feel very disruptive. But the goal is the new. And the one thing that I want you to remember as we are talking about this particular Pisces new moon and the beginning of March is that even though there is a lot of stressful energy, we cannot deny that. We know what's going on out in the world. We are living through some pretty disruptive and chaotic times. But the one thing that I will consistently try to stress and focus on, and I try to help others to do the same, is to take care of your own house, okay? Mind, body, spirit. This is one of the strongest lessons of Pisces as the 12th and final sign of the zodiac. It's all about trusting in our divine self, having faith, trusting in the unseen, remaining in a space of kindness and compassion. And during Pisces season, we are all more psychically sensitive and receptive. But overall, the collective in general, there is a mass awakening that is taking place. And a lot of people are experiencing a lot of psychic phenomenon, things that have not necessarily happened to them before. You can feel like your intuitive abilities are blowing wide open. And for those that have had them pretty enhanced, it will likely feel even more pronounced. It's the times that we're living under. We are meant to connect to source. We are meant to connect to ourself, to our higher self, to our higher guidance. And for some, it's just easier than it is for others, or more natural, I should say. But pay close attention to what your body is telling you. Pay close attention to what is coming up for you intuitively around these times, what is being revealed to you, what you are intuitively drawn to, what you wish to create. That is all your own soul, your own spirit talking to you and talking through you, your divine self. One of the strongest lessons of Pisces season and of the Pisces new moon that we have coming up. But before we get there, I do have to talk about a little bit of volatility that we have leading up to it. And let me be clear. Yes, there is a lot of chaos and disruptive and volatile energy, but at the same time, there's also a lot of beautiful energy, a lot of magic to be made and magic to be found. But you have to trust in yourself to do what's right for you. So the month of March can start off with a little bit of a rocky road, especially when it comes to relationships of all kinds. We start the month off with the sun in Pisces harmonizing with Jupiter in Taurus, which is really sweet. But Venus is in Aquarius, and Venus is squaring off with Uranus in Taurus. And these are two fixed signs. So remember, the fixed signs are challenged to change, okay? And when they are challenged to change from outside sources, they really dig their heels in, and they can be more stubborn than ever, and it can also produce volatile energy. And Venus is the planet, or one of the planets, I should say, that is very strongly linked to our connections, to our relationships. And in Aquarius, Venus wants to express herself with whatever way she wants to. It's all about freedom, and it's about truth. Venus in Aquarius does not want to be boxed in, meaning, translation, that none of us are going to want to be boxed in during this transit. Especially if you're fixed, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. And that doesn't just mean your sun sign, your moon, your rising, your Venus sign. And by the way, if you don't know your birth chart, please be sure to download your free birth chart. The link is right below. It'll take you there right on my website. And note your placements. But with that said, you are not going to be boxed in. None of us are going to want to be boxed in. We are all seeking truth and freedom in one or more ways in our lives, in our realities, and definitely on the collective level as well. But this can bring the month of March in with a little bit of anxiety, and this is why I'm saying March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lion. But let's remember that the lion represents strength. The lion represents power, and the lion represents fortitude, courage. So yeah, March is going to come in like a lion, but it also is going to go out like a lion. And there will be a lot of truths revealed this month, especially around and after the new moon. And we're going to unpack all of this over the next few weeks. Then on March 3rd, we're going to have Mercury in Pisces harmonizing with Uranus in Taurus. This is creative. This is very intuitive. This can give us a boost of energy and make it easier to not only dream, but also to brainstorm and to receive intuitive hits, intuitive downloads. Now, as we start to get towards the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the anxiety will start to increase. The feelings of restlessness and energetic angst are going to start to increase. And the more sensitive you are, the more psychically sensitive and receptive you are, the more you will feel this energy, okay? Especially because it is coming from the collective, not just you. And remember, we have a lot going on in the sign of Pisces right now. We've got the sun in Pisces, we've got Mercury in Pisces, we've got Saturn in Pisces. And then as we build up to that new moon, the moon is going to be in Pisces. So I always like to pull focus onto the fact that the symbol for Pisces is two fish swimming in the opposite direction, okay? And that is why Pisces energy can sometimes feel and be or seem ungrounded. They need a little bit of extra help to pull themselves onto land. I mean, think about it. Fish don't have feet. And our feet is what grounds us to the earth. Doesn't mean that Pisces energy cannot ground. It just means that they need a little bit of a reminder. So I do think that Uranus and Taurus can help that out. But you just have to keep in mind that as we start off the month of March and we build up to that new moon, you may feel more anxious, you may feel more restless. So you might have to pull into your grounding techniques a little bit more than usual. And if you don't have any, please find some. Grounding can be as simple as going out for a walk, sitting against a tree, listening to calming music, taking an Epsom salt bath. There are many ways you can ground yourself energetically. Maybe get those in your household to do the same, to help bring the energy down a little bit, or at least into a more grounded space. You're going to likely need it as we move throughout the month of March. Now, a biggie that I want to bring up, and if you've been following me for a long time, you know I bring a lot of focus onto Mars-Uranus aspects, especially the harsh aspects. And we have an exact square, which is tension, okay, between Mars, the planet of energy and action and fighting and aggression, also courage and vigor and valor. We have Mars moving through Aquarius, and on March 9th, exactly, 19 degrees of Aquarius, Mars is going to square off with Uranus at 19 degrees of Taurus. Now, if you think back to what I said about Venus and Uranus, it's fixed energy, okay? Mars and Uranus together like this, when they're clashing, is disruptive. It can be a little bit explosive. It can implode things, okay? Hopefully not literally, but it can do this on the emotional scale. You can see it happening out with the weather. We more than likely will. We're already starting to see, which we talked about in past videos, we're already starting to see the disruptions with the cellular service, with the internet, power outages, crazy weather, erratic weather patterns, lots of flooding, lots of water. We are also in Pisces season, okay? Stronger emphasis on water. Erratic dips with temperature. That will continue throughout the month of March, but it will be likely heightened as we build up towards this new moon. So basically the whole entire month of March. Now, as we're building up towards that Mars-Uranus square, I want you to be very mindful of your space. I want you to be very mindful of the way that you're moving. This is an accident-prone aspect, okay? And that's not to manifest that, and that's not to tell you that that will happen. But remember, forewarned is forearmed. Mars rules over many things, like I mentioned, also instruments and blood, blunt force trauma. Uranus is accidents, right? Freak accidents, disruption. So it's just a little bit easier under energy like this for things to pop off, for things to occur, for things to be disruptive and impulsive and heated and rash, abrasive. So again, pay very close attention. You should always pay close attention when you're driving, but more so under these energies. If you're operating heavy machinery, because that's Mars, if you work with electricity, Uranus, a little bit of extra caution, that's all. A little bit of extra attention. In fact, somebody close to me just last night reached out to me very late that they were going to the emergency room because they cut their finger in the most freakish, weird way. And I have to be honest with you, 2 hours ago, I did the same thing on a bottle of olive oil. You can't see it because I put like a little sticky thing on it, but it was bleeding a lot. So again, I'm just saying that under these energies, we can be a little bit more careless, especially when it comes to the blood, to cuts, to accidents, bruises, scrapes, bumps, all the things. So if you have little ones, just watch out a little bit more. It's just the energy. And again, it doesn't mean that anything's going to happen, okay? At least not to you personally. Collectively speaking, you know, Mars square Uranus, like I said, I think that the way this is going to be playing out throughout the whole entire month is intensified of what's already been occurring when it comes to the weather, when it comes to the disruptions that we've been experiencing. But then we have our new moon in Pisces on March 10th. And I really do like, for the most part, the energy of this new moon, especially to work with on the personal level. It is the last new moon before we get into eclipse season. It is a super moon, and even though it's a new moon and we don't see the new moon when it's a new moon because it's totally dark, it is the closest to the earth right now. Hence, it's a super moon, and it's the second of 5, I believe. With all of that said, we know that the moon pulls on our soul, it pulls on our psyche, it brings up emotions. So that's just going to feel more intense, and it is Pisces. And so Pisces is one of the most, emotionally sensitive signs of the zodiac. You just may find yourself more tender-hearted or tender in general than normal. You may feel a little bit more tired, like you need to take more rest, that you need to maybe self-isolate a little bit, to be at one with your soul, to be at peace with your feelings. And again, if that's not normally how you're hardwired, it could feel a little bit awkward, but embrace it. Let me go ahead and pull up the chart and show you, because we have got a lot going on. All right, so here we have the chart for our new moon, March 10th, 2024, 5 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. We see right here, we've got the new moon at 20 degrees and 16 minutes of Pisces. Both the sun and the moon are at 20 degrees, 16 minutes of Pisces. That is how we have our new moon. Now, before we dig into the astrology here, note all of the Pisces going on right here, and then note that we've got quite a bit of Aquarius over here. This is very indicative of endings, okay? To make way for new beginnings. And because of the Mars-Uranus activity leading up to this new moon, there could be some abrupt and surprising endings for you, or the endings of a thought process. It doesn't have to be anything in your external reality, so don't panic. It can be the ending of a very emotional period in your life, something that's been turbulent for you, and it's making way for new beginnings. Aquarius and Pisces are the last 2 signs of the zodiacal wheel, the last 2 signs of the zodiac before we start the astrological new year and we get into Aries season. And you can already see Mercury's now entered Aries at this new moon, 0 degrees of Aries. There could be very powerful realizations and communications that come through for you at this time. But I just wanted to pull focus onto how much this is indicative of endings and new beginnings. Okay, so this new moon is conjunct Neptune. We've got Neptune over here at 27 Pisces. Now this is very significant because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and Neptune is all about, in high vibration, it's all about magic and beauty and romance and creativity and kindness and compassion. But there's always a shadow side, and the shadow side is disillusionment, deceit, paranoia, not seeing things for the way they truly are, seeing the world through rose-colored glasses and or foggy glasses. But again, we could also get the beauty with Neptune. And Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, so it's a Neptune-ruled new moon. And new moons are always about the new, right? They're about new beginnings. So around this new moon, you can have vital pieces of information coming through for you that really help to propel you forward. So trust, a key word for Pisces is trust. Now, even though Mercury is now in Aries at 0 degrees, it's still conjunct Neptune pretty close, so this is an out-of-sign conjunction. So Neptune conjunct Mercury, there's going to be communication, but it could be very much of the intuitive kind, or it could be very rash and abrasive and quick, which slams a door for you. Again, this could be very helpful. It can help you close out something that's been emotionally turbulent for you. This is great energy for creative writing, for music. If you write music, if you work with music, basically anything that you do that's creative, that you put your creative energy into. Pisces energy, this new moon is amazing for that. Remember, Neptune is also a planet of loss. It dissolves things, okay? It can dissolve boundaries. We've got Saturn over here at 11 degrees and 3 minutes of Pisces, and Saturn is all about boundaries, and it's in Pisces, and the Neptune can dissolve boundaries. Neptune is about the dissolution or loss of something. So this could literally be like illusions being pierced, truth coming up to the surface from underwater, okay? Because Neptune is the god of the seas. I feel like I'm talking in tone here. It's probably the Pisces energy. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down over here. Neptune reminds us that everything ebbs and flows, much like the ocean. Neptune rules the ocean. Neptune rules the sign of Pisces. Everything ebbs and flows, and things often have to be swept away to bring in the new. And I feel like a lot of this is positive, or at the very least, it's constructive, even if it doesn't feel positive at first. We have Jupiter over here at 12 degrees of Taurus, harmonizing with Saturn over here at 11 degrees of Pisces. Spiritual wisdom in general is increased. You're starting to really recognize how far you've come, and that's a beautiful thing. Be proud of yourself. Now, this could also bring in social constraints. This could also bring in something from the outside. We can't ignore the fact that Neptune also rules over medicine, gas, pollutants, drugs, narcotics, sacrifice, and control. Jupiter is our social planet. It's all about expansion. Saturn is restrictions and boundaries. Saturn's also medicine. So just again, we could see a lot coming out on the world stage regarding these Neptune-Saturn themes. And again, the weather, water, wet, and increased or not only erratic weather, but increased seismic activity, which we've talked about. We've got Uranus here at 19 degrees, and it's still very much squaring off with Mars. Something else that I want to mention that's very significant is that Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune rules the 12th house in the zodiacal wheel. This is the 12th house right here. And the 12th house is traditionally known as the house of endings. It's very, very karmic. And the 12th house and Neptune and Pisces is an energy that's very much connected to source, connected to divinity, connected to God, the higher power, whatever it is that you believe in. But Pisces is all about trusting and tapping into that source energy. That is why people with strong Pisces are often very naturally psychic. They almost can't help it because they're always pulling into the unconscious. That's the 12th house. That's Neptune. That's the water energy. So again, another emphasis of a strong karmic energy, a strong energy of letting go. We have been talking about this for months, right? Letting go to grow. Let go or be dragged. How many other ways can we say it? 12th house is also the house of endings. So with all of this to say, with all endings, there's always a consequence, right? So in other words, when we end something or when something ends in our lives, there is often a sense of loss that accompanies it. How could it not? And so it's okay if you feel a little insecure right now or as if things are hazy, because that's all of this Neptunian energy that's going on around this new moon. So even with the good, you could still feel unshaky, unsettled. We've got this Mars-Uranus square still very active. Helping us, though, is that Uranus is harmonizing with the new moon. It's almost in an exact sextile, which is helpful. So again, another indicator of whatever's leading up to this new moon, if it feels disruptive, if it is disruptive for you, you will settle in. And another thing that might come up for you is ways in which you have sacrificed something of yourself or sacrificed a part of yourself for an idea, for a group, for a person, for a situation, whatever way that works for you. And you could be really thinking back on how much you've done that and be willing to dissolve that now so that you can be for yourself. And that's not being selfish. That's just about taking your power back in one or more ways. So these feelings of sacrifice can also be very emotional. They can be very internal. They don't necessarily have to be outside events. You can just be working on your own emotional nature, your own emotional needs, your boundaries. That could all be also coming up very strongly, featuring very strongly. So it's definitely not out of the norm if you feel out of the norm right now. And we also have Mercury here at 0 Aries in a sextile to Pluto up here at 1 degree of Aquarius. Again, this is great energy for research. This is great energy for writing. This is great energy for injecting our relationships with depthful conversations, deep conversations that help to move the needle forward in one or more ways. New ideas, doing things differently and in a way that works for us, even and if others don't agree with us. Because it's not about them, right? It's about you. Only you know what goes on for you. Only you know what goes on in your life. Remember that. You don't always have to sacrifice, Neptune, your own needs for others. So again, as we build up to the new moon and around the new moon with the Mars-Uranus square, you may feel more unsettled. You may feel more shaky. You may feel more like your cage is being rattled and you just want to break free. Freedom. Breaking free from the chains that bind, which again can be internal. Does not have to be external. I want to stress that. But it certainly can be. Trust, Pisces, the shakeups and the inner turmoil that you're experiencing. Trust that it will take you to the shore. Fish, Pisces. It will take you to the shore. It will take you where you need to be until you are secure and on land. Again, not talking literal here. If you are an Aries rising, this new moon is going to take place in your 12th house, which is the house of Pisces. We just talked about that. That is the house of endings, closure, karmic cleanup, sacrifice. It's also heightened intuition, heightened awareness. It also speaks to our spiritual practices. So for you, you could be looking at new ways of digging deeper into your own meditative practices, whatever that entails for you, working with your own source energy, closing out karmic cycles, because you are the first sign of the zodiac and you are indicative of new beginnings. And when we get to your season, it's all about the new. So what are you closing out for good, Aries? Even though new moons are new beginnings, in order to have new beginnings, we have to have endings, right? And this new moon is specifically focused for you around endings and also about deepening your connection to self, your connection to source, to your intuition. Taurus rising, this new moon is going to take place in your 11th house. This is going to talk about your hopes, your dreams, your wishes. This is a great new moon for you to set your goals, set your intentions. As a Taurus, I know you have your lists. This is also about your friendships. This is also about networks, groups that you're a part of. Maybe some of you have been wanting to get an animal, get a dog. You may be really feeling the pull. Some of you are closing the door on that friendship that has hasn't been serving you for quite some time. Taurus is very loyal. It's not easy to close out those doors with relationships that aren't serving you, but under this new moon, you're likely going to find it a little bit easier, or the universe is going to do it for you. Or shall I say, the Mars-Uranus square is going to help push that along. Remember, Taurus, only dead fish go with the flow. For our Gemini risings, this new moon is going to take place in your 10th house of your career, your public image, your public face, the way you are out in the world. So it's a really good new moon for you to get serious about how you want to be seen in the world. What work are you doing in the world? If it's not an actual place of employment, it could just be what you're doing, your status. So set some intentions about what comes up there next for you. Cancer rising, it's your 9th house. This is all about your spiritual beliefs. This is your faith. This is the constant need and quest for learning, the expansion of the higher mind. What new courses have you been wanting to take? What new languages have you been wanting to learn? What new places have you wanted to visit? This new moon is all about expansion for you, faith and spirituality. Leo rising, this new moon takes place in your 8th house. This is a very intimate space. This is very private. This talks about your bonds with other people. This talks about your finances that you're tied up in. This talks about any money that you have with others, debts, loans, banking, any inheritances, taxes, things of that nature. All of the things that we don't typically talk about publicly fall under the 8th house. This is a very intimate new moon for you. Virgo, it's your 7th house of partnership, mutuality, and this is partnership of all kinds. For Libra, it's your 6th house of health, daily routines and habits. Also, it's your work and your service, your acts of service. And if you don't feel that you have any, this will be the new moon to set some intentions to set a course of action for you. Maybe clean up your health habits, a new routine. The 6th house is also our physical health and healing. Scorpio, for you, this new moon is going to take place in your 5th house of fun and creative projects and love and joy. The 5th house is the fun house. It's the house of Leo. So this is actually a very creative and inspirational new moon for you, especially if you're involved in any kind of writing projects or anything having to do with the theater, music, or children. This Pisces new moon is really going to spark your creativity, or has the potential to. Sagittarius, this new moon for you is your 4th house of home and foundation, your emotional world, family, both family of origin and family of choice. Many of you may find yourself dealing with your mother a lot, thinking about her a lot, coping with something that has to do with the family, making a vow to do things differently, or making a vow to heal. 4th house is also all of our ancestral karma. So maybe you're digging into your lineage and you're figuring out that the buck stops here with you, breaking through some generational trauma, ancestral trauma. And like I always say, trauma is subjective, okay? So I don't like to put a meaning to trauma, because what's traumatic to one soul might not be traumatic to another soul, but it's traumatic nonetheless. So take that in context. But lots of healing available here for our Sagittarius risings, if they're willing to feel it, right? Because we have to feel it to heal it. And guess what? This Pisces new moon is going to make you feel it. Capricorn, this new moon takes place in your 3rd house of communication, your siblings, your cousins, your community, the family, the people that could represent those labels for you. They don't have to be literal, can be energetic. This also has to do with communication projects. So if you're doing any kind of writing, any kind of broadcasting, any kind of editing, travel as well, transportation, this is all the 3rd house. You may find yourself going on or planning a nice road trip under this energy. Or you may just find yourself involved in some really spiritual kinds of conversations, all with a therapeutic bend. Aquarius rising, this new moon takes place in your 2nd house of your finances, what you value, your self-esteem, your confidence. It's also what you do on the day-to-day that keeps you grounded. What you feel gives you tangible value. This is a great new moon to focus on that. And if you don't know what that is, this is where you'll be digging in to find it. Many of you may even be starting a new project or endeavor that will bring in some financial abundance for you. Or maybe you get the financial backing that you've been seeking and it finally comes in. And it might not come in now, it might come in during Aries season, so hang tight. Last but certainly not least, our Pisces, this is your new moon. Happy new moon. We get one a year and this is yours. It's your 1st house. It's you. It's your body, it's your mind, it's your spirit, it's all of you. It's your personality, it's your energy. How do you want this next year to go for you? Dream big. You're very supported right now. And also allow the tears to flow. It's okay to cry for what is gone. It is okay to feel that sense of loss as something dissolves out of your life. It's okay if you feel confused right now. Just know that you will get back on track soon. So set your intentions, because again, this is your new moon. Lots of magic here for you, Pisces. But you must believe in yourself. And you must believe that you can have it, that it's possible, or else it won't happen. And that's the trick with manifestation, right? If you don't believe it, then you're not truly in alignment with what you're wishing for, what you're hoping for. So how can it be delivered to you when you don't even really believe that you can have it? Think about it. So there you have it, all 12 signs. Happy new moon. Don't forget, I have a guided new moon meditation for you, linked below right in the comments. Feel free to use that. Set your intentions. Stay in your center. Stay grounded. Pull into the element of water. Pisces season is water. Also pull into the element of earth. We've got Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus, earth signs. So use the elements of earth and water to help to keep you grounded. Even the sounds of running water soothe the soul. Listening to that right before you fall asleep is so helpful for calming down the nervous system. Okay, take really good care of yourselves. And again, you can find me right below, lisasalvatore.com. I have private consultations that I think are still available for the month of March. I've got the forecast. I've got everything linked in those comments and of where you can find me. Take good care. Bye.